If you're planning to run a Libertarian Party ticket for the U.S. House or a short-term political office, say one that is 1 or 2 years long, or even up to 3 years long, or you have just recently run in the 2016 election, I would strongly recommend you do the 3-run rule when running for office. This was first proposed by Newt Gingrich when he was the Speaker of the House Assembly to Republicans thinking about running for the U.S. House of Representatives. The idea is that the 3 runs give you the best chance of actually winning office. They go like this. Your first run you use to build up your campaign structure and you try to win. The second time you run, you build up your name recognition and you try to win. And the third run you do is an all-out, no excuses run for the office. If you don't win on your third try, you then pass the baton to someone else in your party for that office. To do this strategy, you have to tell your campaign workers, volunteers, and the media that you're doing a 3-run run, you could say. That from the very beginning they know that you've committed yourself to the next basically 5 to 6 years running for this one office. And that gets them in the mentality that they're in it for the long haul. That when election day comes around, all your supporters and donors and volunteers don't just, float away and disappear. They know that this is just a round 1 and that you're going to make another 2 attempts at doing this. It keeps them all together. They have a much, they kind of like they're investing into the future. You're saying you're hoping you win, but if you don't, that doesn't mean that you've given on up. You're just going to roll right into the next campaign. Your concession speech, in a way, is a concession speech, let's say after your first run, but it's talking about the fight's not over. I've committed to doing this 3 times. I was hoping to win the first time, but if I didn't, I wasn't going to give up. I, from the very beginning, said I'm going to make 3 attempts at this office. It gets everyone to kind of realize you're here for the long haul. It's really good from an organizational standpoint. Volunteers will know that it's kind of not a one and done proposition with them. Now, will you lose volunteers? Yes, you'll lose volunteers. It's natural. You're essentially having a kind of a 6-year plan to win this office, and it's just natural that you're going to lose personnel, etc. over that time, but you're also going to gain people. After the election, all your volunteers just don't disappear. I would strongly recommend you just give everyone a break. Give your concession speech, and then during the concession speech say, we're going to take a break, a little holiday here for a month, okay? And then we're going to get back together and we're going to work on winning this office again from then forward. There are people who become politically active after the last election. I know some people in the Libertarian Party think this is odd, but this is actually normal. They didn't really think about politics until the election came close. They were kind of like they're undecided, etc. A lot of people have said that it is really the last month of any campaign when the public really becomes engaged into the campaign, when they start making their decision on who they're going to vote for and who they're not going to vote for, or rather not vote for. But some of those voters will get turned on by your message, will get motivated, will want to help you. And if they know that, hey, your campaign isn't over. This is just round one, and you're about to start up round two, or it's round two and you're about to start up round three. Now, naturally, if it's the end of round three, it's now over, but that is what it is, you know. But it's more. This is more of a thing that helps you maintain your structure together, and also gets the press to realize you're not going away. That interviewing you is still valuable. It's very important for when dealing with the press, because as a former non-active candidate, you're as good as dead to them. They don't care about you anymore because you're no longer trying to win the day kind of deal. But after your first round, and if you were to lose, if you win, obviously fantastic, celebration all around. But by telling in your concession speech that this is merely round one, now reporters are going to come back to you, and anything that the incumbent now does, they'll come back to you and ask for your input, ask for what's your opinion about this. In a way, you become kind of like a shadow government for that incumbent. A shadow government is commonly done in parliamentary governments, where the opposition that is out of power forms a shadow government, it's their way of saying, well, here's how we would have done it. The United States doesn't have really a shadow government. We're not a parliamentary system. We're a representative republic. So the party that gets the majority doesn't get all the power, because power in the United States is distributed, you know, between the judicial, Supreme Court, the executive, the U.S. President, and the legislative, which is Congress. And Congress is divided into the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House. You can be in the minority and still have huge impact on government in a republic with that type of a system. When running a three-run campaign, you also start looking at things a little bit differently. A lot of political campaigns have this very much here today, gone tomorrow, flight by night perspective on where their campaign headquarters is located, what they do, how they treat their volunteers. Some campaigns literally just burn out their volunteers near the end of the campaign. They have the idea that, well, they're going to leave me anyways, demand absolutely as much as I can from them at this time, and basically damn the consequences, because there's not going to be anything after this campaign. Where if you knew that you're going to continue running, you shouldn't try to burn out your workers. Giving that month off, some of them might not come back. Some of them still might not come back, even if you don't try to burn them on out. But if they have an idea of, here, we're going to try to do this in this run here, first run, build up the campaign structure, volunteers, etc. And then after that first run is building up name recognition. This is now, you've run for office, you lost, but now you're kind of like the shadow of the incumbent. It gives you credentials to go around and continue talking to civic groups and social groups and fraternities and other organizations, church groups, etc. You've made it clear, I'm running again. My campaign has not ended. It enables you then to truly work on name recognition. Reporters contacting you about what your thoughts are will happen because you're saying, I haven't stopped. Your campaign office doesn't shut down. You just put up a little sign saying, on vacation for a month, getting back in the ring right away afterwards. Can a libertarian win office doing this? Well, I tell you what, if you don't do this, you're less likely to win office. if you want to know how I would run a campaign, and very likely if I can get to full-time status as a Libertarian YouTuber, I will run for a U.S. House Senate seat, either here in the 1st Congressional District of Iowa, or if I get to being a full-time YouTuber before a year passes, I'll be moving to D.C., and then I'll run in a U.S. Congressional District, either in Maryland or Virginia. Here's how I would do it. In this video here is how I would run a campaign and how I plan to run a campaign. Now, right now, I have less than 100 subscribers right now. For me to go full-time, I would need at least probably 100,000 subscribers, 1,000-fold from what I haven't even been able to achieve yet. I think I'm at like 64 subscribers right now. And to make a serious run at the U.S. House, I would very likely have to have 1 million subscribers. That way, when I do announce, I can tap the subscribers for donations to get my campaign up and running. I have better name recognition. I'm viewed as more of a viable candidate by the press, etc. Anyways, I plan to, wherever I do run for the U.S. House Senate seat, is to do a 3-run campaign. It's just the way I think is the only way you can possibly have a shot at winning. Incumbents love to see challengers come and go. They come in, they lose, and then they go away. But if you come and say, I'm here for the long haul, and say that from the very beginning, you're now a real threat to them. Even as a Libertarian Party candidate, which is normally totally discounted. I didn't do this when I first ran for office. I was one and done. I got burnt out. Near the end of the campaign, I got burnt out. And there's no other way of saying it. It was demoralizing to lose. But if I had had this mentality, the loss could have been better handled, and I would have rolled on and gone for it again. A lot older now, almost 20 years older, more experience. And now this is what I'm going to do. If you are thinking about running on a Libertarian Party ticket, I strongly recommend that you do this 3-run rule, and I also strongly recommend that you look at that video on how I think Libertarian candidates can actually win the election. I think this is a way for us to actually start winning seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. It's different at the Senate level because their terms are 6 years. But if you were to run for that, one, if you're in a state that only has 1 House of Representative, you can run for the U.S. Senate as well as the U.S. House of Representatives because there's a federal election every 2 years, statewide election every year. But in the larger states, there's a 4-year gap because there's only 2 U.S. senators from each state. But you can sometimes time it. There might be a possibility where you can like run for a U.S. House seat, and then if you want to go after the U.S. Senate, then maybe their 2 elections, one after another, happens after that. Or maybe you're in an odd part where you can go U.S. Senate seat. There's the span when there's not a U.S. Senate race, run for a U.S. House seat for your district, and then run again for the U.S. Senate seat. Or U.S. Senate, U.S. Senate, U.S. House. You can actually build on this. And there's ways of doing it. But I would recommend strongly that you instead look at just the U.S. House instead of the U.S. Senate. You have a better chance of winning it. Now, if you like this idea, if you'd like to get this idea out there, please post this a link to this video to your Facebook page, tweet it on out. For a small channel like me, that really helps. If this is the first time you've seen one of my videos, one, thank you for the view. And please subscribe. In the last 20 seconds of this video, you'll see an end screen. In a circle will be my photograph. Please click on it and subscribe. Also, I have a mailing list. And when it gets to 100 subscribers, I'm going to start producing a weekly unlisted video where I reply to selected comments posted to last week's batch of public videos. If you'd like to see these reply to comment videos, in the description below, there's a link to the mailing list sign-up form. Please subscribe. All right, I hope you give this serious consideration if you're thinking about running for a Libertarian seat or have, a political seat on a Libertarian Party ticket, or if you're thinking about doing so, or you have done so. I think it's a good idea. I think we can learn from our opponents in this case. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.